Hello, 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 hello. We are here tonight with another episode of the Girls Talk Real Talk because with Girls Talk, just about anything can happen. So I have my wonderful guest with us today, the poet herself, RJ Voice,
Hello.
that is in the house with us. And I believe we're going to have a really good conversation. So RJ, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, well, as you already started off, my name is RJ Voice, and that is my penmanship name for being an author and a poet. And I am the owner and the founder of Shut Your Mouth Productions, which is a literary and performing arts LLC. And I'm also an educator. I tutor college students from different colleges, and I'm also completing my master's degree in poetry. So, yeah. Oh, I'm a mom too. Threw that in. A mom of two teenage daughters. Right for me.
Well, bless your heart. I only had the one daughter that I went through teenage years with, so I'm with you on that one. Yeah, that can be somewhat of a challenge.
Yeah.
I've got a teenage granddaughter right now, and yeah, my daughter is having big fun, just great fun, just great.
Uh-huh.
But I want to jump into first I want to get into your LLC. Tell us a
Okay.
little bit more about that and what all you do in the LLC.
Well, it's a multiple of things. I can help assist other authors or poets with looking over their work for them and basically just giving some suggestions. I don't want to necessarily say feedback because a lot of people say feedback, but just trying to figure out where they want to go or what they're trying to do um, with their body of work. Um, also, it's if they need tutoring or anyone else that may need tutoring in English, I'm there for that. So it's kind of a multiple thing. And also with the performing arts, poetry is a performing art if it's done with a spoken word aspect. So that's sort of a performing arts part of
Okay.
it. Hmm.
So how did you get started with all of this? How did all of this start for you?
Oh, wow. This was a vision. It was a vision that I saw years ago. Literally, I'm going to say it's been a long time, maybe 18 years ago. And I didn't know how it was going to begin. I just wrote it down and put it on the board and allowed things to just flourish in its own time. Long awaited vision.
So how long have you actually been a published author?
Well, my first book was published last year. My first book of it was a small novella in The Unexpected. And then I published just recently Reflections of an Unspoken Soul. I don't know if anyone can see it, but that's my book of poetry. It's a chapbook of poetry of 20 poems in there. So just last year, really.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
The pandemic has been very, very busy for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, I'm blessed.
Okay, so you had also mentioned that you are an educator.
Hmm.
So I do know that you participate in a writing awards program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the education and the other work that you do to help get the word out about authors and to be able to not necessarily critique, but review their work and help them move forward in their chosen field.
Well, I'm a part of a group. I don't. It's a couple of Facebook groups of Black authors. I don't know if I lost you. I think I lost you.
I'm here. Go ahead and
Oh,
finish
okay.
talking.
I said, oh, I think I lost it, but yeah, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups of Black authors and also book clubs, and I also am involved with the library here in my area. Well, I live in the Euclid area, so the Euclid Library and some of the libraries in my area. So that's kind of how I get the word out in terms of things like that. So
So when you put out your book, when you decided to create your book of poetry and put it out there, um, what were you hoping would occur? What message were you wanting to get out to the audience?
well, it talks about a few things, but one of the main things it touches on is depression, and depression about with Black women, in particularly because I am a Black woman. So, and the things that we go through, and the things that I've went through as a Black woman going through depression, and how I it's a constant battle every day to overcome it. And it could be the simplest things, and you're like, wow, I made it today. So with that, I was hoping to help encourage and uplift other women and let them know, hey, you're not the only one. We, going through this. And if we, talk to each other or encourage one another and lift one another up, we can get through each day together.
Okay, that's really good because I know a lot of women that are currently battling with that. The pandemic has really brought out some
Yeah.
issues for some of our women in regards to depression, that they were so busy that it didn't catch up to them. But then when the pandemic hit, it really presented itself. And
Hmm.
so thank you for that because that's going to be very, very helpful. Did you choose to publish with an independent publisher or with a traditional publishing house, or did you self publish?
I self-published both books. That's what I chose to do. And I'm still working on more work, and perhaps one of them would be with a press in the near future. But right now, the two that I have are self-published.
So, what did you learn in going through your self publishing process?
That marketing is key. Marketing, marketing, marketing. It's a lot of footwork, but it's my work. Um, and you just relationships, building relationships is very important too. Um, like I said, being involved in different, uh, not necessarily programs, but different groups that are on online or anything in person that you can get a hold of. Just being involved in with the community of the libraries and the independent bookstores and other people that you may know, that sort of thing. I learned a lot, but the marketing I think is like really a big deal.
I have to agree with you on that because most people, we have our communities that know us,
Hmm.
but we want to make sure that we get our books out there to individuals that may not be a part of your immediate circle, and to
Hmm.
allow them to get to know what it is that you're putting out there.
Hmm.
When if there is a new author that is coming on the scene, this is new to them. They've chosen to self publish, and
Hmm.
we've been talking about marketing. What are some tips or tools you can suggest to them in regards to marketing to help them make sure that they get their book before the people that really need to read it?
Um, get involved in a lot of the writers groups because a lot of help and information come from there as well. Um, make sure you just market your stuff on your page, on your Instagram, or whatever platform that you have. Um, like I said, contact the libraries. You never know who you would talk to. Just ask. Just ask someone, whatever genre that your book is in, just ask, hey, I'm an independent published author. I wouldn't mind having my book in your library. Do you know who you can direct me to that I can talk to about that? Just that simple.
So
Literally.
basically, selling yourself and
Mhm.
putting it out there to let people know that you have a product that is available and that
Mhm.
you have an opportunity to experience it.
Mhm.
Have you participated in any of the, whether online or in person, any readings to where you've actually shared your poems that you have written?
I have one up scheduled coming up this in August. So I have one in the with the library coming up. So I'll be able to participate in a reading with that with the new book because it'll help promote the new book.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, what did you learn about yourself while you were writing and publishing your book?
Like wow. For me, poetry is like if I've learned to put more out there than what I did before, and not cover up, just let it as much as possible that I can let this all out. And some of it is could be really challenging and bring you to tears. Well, it did me. It did me. I have some work and I said, wow, I went through this and I'm still here. Like for real. So I mean, that's some of the things that I went through with writing it. It is very near and dear to my heart. Near and dear to my heart because of myself. Near and dear to my heart because of women, Black women that are no longer with us that were close to me. Um, Near and dear for Black women that I know that are still here. So it's just really close to even say we have very similar struggles, if not the same. And we're all so beautiful and so smart and intelligent, and we're still here. It's like it's not killing us. So I learned a lot of that about myself. And once I self-published it, I learned, I said, wow, I don't feel like anyone that has something to say that could help someone else, you should not have to wait for somebody else to tell you that your work is not good enough to be, or not necessarily good enough, but your work is not, we're not accepting your work at this time. Now, I do understand that end of the publishing side, but why wait when someone else could pick up something that you have written literally today and it could have made saved their life? We have no idea how much power we have in our voices.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think that is so key because one of the things that I think we have to understand in our journey,
Hmm.
whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's just being an author, whether you're being an entrepreneur, period. You're stepping out there and doing something that is going to produce a product or a service for someone else.
Hmm.
And I think us learning how just to be makes all the difference in the world. Because if we can learn how to be in our own space,
Hmm.
that transfers into our books, our services, our products, and then people will be able to enjoy it for what it's meant to be. One of the
Hmm.
things that I tell individuals that I work with is give your book an assignment. Did you give your book an assignment?
That's interesting. What do you mean by that? Give your book an assignment.
What is it that what is the one greatest thing or accomplishment that you want for your book?
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I didn't think of give my book an assignment. I didn't think of it that way. The accomplishment is to get it written and published and get it
Once
out
it's
of
out
me.
there, that's what I mean. Once it's out there and it's in the world, what is the greatest accomplishment that you want this book to have? What would success look like for your books?
Oh, that what's inside of me is has come out, and I'm not holding it in. What's inside of me is out for others because what I have is not for me anyway.
Mhm.
So that's the greatest accomplishment for me. I mean,
Okay.
all of the writing it, the putting it together, those are accomplishments because that's work. That's a lot of your work. But I'm not holding all of the gifts or the issues that I have or anyone that was around me that have on the inside anymore. It's to be shared with others.
And that's probably the greatest gift that we could ever put out there is the simple fact that we have allowed other people to be a spectator on our healing process so that as we go through what we're going through, it shows them and gives them permission to do the very same thing. And I don't think a lot of times we think about that, especially when you're doing like poetry and nonfiction writing. You are actually pouring your life out on these pages. And it should be a healing journey. It should get you to a place to where you are confident in your own skin and then you're ready to share that with someone else and then they can pick up the thread of healing and begin the healing in their own lives. And so that's one of the things that I like to say to the people that I'm working with. Give it an assignment. If you want to free people and use your life as the example in order to help them free themselves from the things that have been chasing them late at
Hmm.
night and they haven't realized it to where they're not getting any rest or they're afraid to step out there and to be their own person or they're dealing with depression or they've had domestic violence and they don't know how to get out of it or they've gotten out of it but they haven't overcome it, they're still in survival mode. These are things that we look at. And so when I say give your book an assignment, what is it that you wanted to accomplish in the earth realm? What is it
Yeah.
that you're sending it out there to do so that it's kind of like
Gotcha.
with my kids when they were younger. I would send them to the store and I could tell them, well, just go to the store and get whatever. And that's exactly what they're going to get. They're going to get whatever.
Hmm.
But if I give them an assignment and I give them a list or I tell them specifically what I want, then
Hmm.
what I get back is exactly what I have sent them out to do. And
Hmm.
so I think a lot of times we don't think about the necessity of speaking out of our mouths what our expectations are.
Yeah.
I have said it and I had to check myself. And then I've had people say it to me. Well, if one person is blessed by my book, then it was all worth it. No, that's not true. And do not limit yourself to that
Right.
mindset
Right.
because you have the ability to change the world, starting one person at a time. So
Hmm.
don't use that limiting mindset. Put yourself out there and allow people to see what it is that you have to offer. And the way that we do that is through our marketing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because, and tell me if how you what you think about this next statement. People are not people are buying you. They're consuming your product.
Hmm. That's interesting too. I have to ponder on things a little bit. That's interesting.
Because right now we're in this whole marketing realm
Right.
that is the no like trust.
Hmm.
And so if the marketing world is saying that people have to get to know you, they have to like you and then trust you before they actually buy from you.
Hmm.
So then in essence they're buying you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're
In that sense.
consuming your product.
Yeah. In that sense, when you put it that way.
Yeah. So it makes a world of difference for us to begin to look at what we're putting out there. But I wanna move on a little bit. So what has been your greatest victory during this season of writing and publishing?
My greatest victory is through I received healing through my writing and publishing. I really did. I mean, I really did. I've already mentioned to you about the crying in the middle of writing where I had to stop and my eyes were just full of tears. It's like I can't even finish, but the flow is coming out so much. I didn't want to stop, but I can't see what I'm writing because all the tears are in my eyes. I have to stop, right? Okay, and keep going. But yeah, that's my greatest accomplishment. My healing is in my writing.
So if let's say someone comes to you and
Mm-hmm.
they say, RJ, I'm really wanting to do poetry. I'm really wanting to step into the realm of poetry. Um, but the stuff that I have to say is really deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not for sure there's an audience for what it is that I have to say. What bit of advice would you give them?
There's an audience for everything that everybody has to say. This is a huge world. It's impossible for what you have to say or whoever this individual may be has to say that there is no audience. I don't believe that because the human nature, humans go through similar things, some the same, some close to it, or somebody we know been through, or what somebody's, there's no way. So I would say write it anyway. If you're not comfortable sharing it, at least put it on the page in your own space, in your own comfortability where you're comfortable writing about it and read it over to yourself. And I mean, when I say write about it, don't shade it if you can't. Sometimes like for me, I shaded it a little bit, even with my own self, and no one was around. So it's like, no, don't mask it. Rip it off. No one's here but you.
Right.
So why are you hiding? So, get as comfortable as you can in writing it in your own space until you're comfortable with sharing it. And when you are comfortable with sharing it, make sure you're in a space that is safe for what you have to say.
That is key.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a lot of people, they don't think about making sure that the space is safe, to make sure that not only is it safe for you to share openly and honestly and to be transparent, but also safe for the hearer, that they can receive what it is that you're saying and then experience whatever they're experiencing in a safe space, because we never know how our words are going to impact or affect individuals while they're either hearing it or they are reading it. So are you going to put your poetry as audiobooks?
I had a quick, when I say quick, a quick thought about it. I may, and I'm definitely going to have a video where I do a couple of, reading of a couple of them. Not too many, because I don't want to, it's like giving away everything I got.
Right.
I don't want to give away everything. I'll give you a little appetizer.
So what does your daughters have to say about your writing?
My daughters are my daughters. They know I've been doing this for a while, and they just say, okay, that's what mom does. They really don't they're supportive, if that's what you're thinking. They're supportive of that because actually my oldest daughter designed my book cover. So she's super supportive, and shout out to Junique Designs by Judea. So that is her brand, and she designed my cover. So I'm thankful for that. So that's support, support for what I do. So I appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
really awesome. When it was, I have to share this story with you because it's quite hilarious. So I was at my daughter's house, and I've got a 15-year-old granddaughter,
Mhm.
and we were talking, and my mother had asked me about my latest book that I put out, and she was asking me how I was doing, and my granddaughter was like, "Mama, you an author? You write books? How come I didn't know you write books? Mama, how come you
I mean,
didn't tell me? Mama writes books." And she said, "Amani, you didn't know, and she writes books." She said, "Nah, I didn't know Mama writes books." She said, "I've been talking about her book." She said, "But I didn't know you were talking about she wrote it."
woo,
And
that's
so
something else.
I'm sitting back because in my family I'm the only author. And so
No,
it
yeah.
created, and I don't know about you, but it in the beginning they were very uncomfortable
Mm.
because they really didn't understand what that entailed. They were used to me doing blogs because I was I have a blog that I do on a monthly basis now, but I used to blog every day. Monday or Sunday through Saturday I was blogging. Um so they were used to the blogs. They were,
Yeah.
and after a while I think they even stopped reading them. They,
Mhm.
okay, she got another one out there. All right. That's Michelle. And
Mhm.
so then I went and I had an early morning Bible study that I was doing. And so they were used to that. And when I transitioned out of both of those into writing the book, I think it threw them for a loop. I don't think it ever crossed their mind that I would jump into that arena.
Wow.
And so, and
Wow.
I didn't have anybody, yeah, nobody in my family that
Wow.
wrote like I do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so,
That's great.
they're very supportive of me now, but the initial part of it was like, yeah, right, whatever.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think yeah, I can see that. Especially teenagers. I can see that. I
So
can see that.
in your immediate circle of people, how have they received your two books that you have now put out into the marketplace and what it is that you're doing?
Well, the second one has just been released. So the
Mm-hmm.
very first one, very supportive and congratulating and purchasing the book and um, reading it. Just you never know who's gonna buy it. So my thing is just tell somebody, tell a family member. You just never know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were supportive in purchasing it and reading it. So now that I'm in this interview and the second book has been published a few days ago, so I'm pretty sure they'll check that one out too.
Okay, well, tell us. I didn't know it was just published. Okay, so
Yes,
take a
ma'am.
minute and tell us about your book, your newest book.
Well, it's a chapbook of poetry with 20 poems in it, and it's titled "The Reflect." No, Reflections of an Unspoken Soul, and it's just me writing about and me reflecting back on times and situations that I've been through, reflecting back on women that I know that are close to me, like my mom, some things she went through, and she's no longer here. So I was able to write poetry based off what she said to me. And again, like I said, the pain and the depression and conflict and peace and having a voice and being a hero, even in my blackness as a woman and struggling in depression and just all of those things, sister love, all that type of stuff is in reflections of an unspoken soul. So these are things that were not said, that is now see.
Okay, so I kind of feel like we doing a debut of the book here.
Yeah.
So, and I am very supportive that being an author myself, I'm very
Mhm.
supportive of authors and giving them
Mhm.
that space. Do you want to do a quick reading of something you want to share with the audience?
I'll read. Let's see which one I will read. I'll read one for you guys tonight in hopes you this evening in hopes that you would purchase this book. Let's see which one am I going to read here. I was just looking over one, and I was just thinking about that when you said it. Say, when am I going to read one?
Well, I'm going to go off screen and I'm going to let you do. And then once you get done, I'll come back on screen.
Okay, okay. I'm going to read one,
Okay.
and this one is titled Black Shiro. Textile tortured thoughts and fabricated fears stitched together, creating costumes and clothing of self doubt, always dressed in terror, dreaded confronting confidence. This fabric woven in early childhood, giving sight of a battered mother with a choked throat and no esteem. In a new era, I undressed and redesigned, warrior at best, with the shield of assertiveness, breastplate of fortitude, the belt of boldness, and the sword of inner knowledge of feeling secure. Assurance is the cape I wear, reflections my name, winning is my blueprint.
I like that one.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
I kind of like the fact that cape is assurance is the cape you wear.
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, that was good. That was good. So,
Thank
I mean,
you.
audience, you're hearing it here. If they want to go out, RJ, and purchase your newest book or any of your books,
Hmm.
um, where could they go to get it?
Well, you can purchase it either on Amazon or Barnes and Noble's website. You can also go to my personal website. The second book will be up tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow afternoon. So that's www.authorpoetrjvoice.art. You can purchase it there, or you can actually, if you have a Facebook account, you can contact me that way on Messenger at r.j.tyus. That's my Facebook account. Instagram is the same, so you can message me that way, and I would ship it out to you if you would like to cash at me, and that's r.j.voice, VOICE. That's the Cash App handle. Of course, dollar
Okay.
sign and all of that.
Well, I am so excited about your new book. I'm excited. I
Yeah,
didn't know it came out a couple of days ago. You didn't tell me that.
y'all know I'm sorry, just newly released.
So, what's next for you? What are you looking forward to doing next?
Well, publishing more work, publishing more poetry, um, in hopes to self-publish my own, also in a press. I'm sure I will. I'm pretty sure I will. And just keep writing and keep publishing and keep being able to help other people with their work, because it's not easy getting your work out there, especially on your own. So we need each other.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So, what is one of the greatest things that you learned about yourself during your writing and publishing process?
That I could do it.
So, what was
Nope.
holding you back before?
You know, just a lot of negativity, a lot of things that others would say. Some people would, shoot your work down or shoot you down as an individual and your writing. And it's like, well, hey, this is my life. Who are you to say that this is not my life? I had to get over that, and it took a while. It took a while So a lot of discouragement is what was a barrier for me. It really was.
So how did you overcome it?
I kept going. I kept doing it anyway. I kept getting information. I kept seeking. I kept what they say, knocking. I kept knocking at doors. Even though doors were shutting my face and I've been rejected many times. I kept going. And I must keep going until I'm told to stop.
Well, I commend you on that because a lot of times we don't think about the people who will be impacted by the stories that we tell or the messages that we give. We only are in what we're dealing with, what we're feeling. And
Mhm.
so if I'm feeling discouraged, I'm not going to put it out there because I can't get out of my own way. And
Mhm.
so it gives you that sense of accomplishment when you get it out there. Because I have to
Mhm.
be honest, my second book, Walking on Water and My Stilettos, I did not want to write it.
Mm. Mhm.
Matter of fact, I refused to write it.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of like, and God did not leave me alone until I agreed to write it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
And
I
so
had
it
to.
was, and that's the thing. People have to understand that you'll get to a point to where you have no other choice.
Yeah. It's simple things like I don't think people really realize. You can say, "Oh, well, what do you want to do?" Or what do you like? I tell my daughters, what would you like to do?" Usually what we like to do is when we're children, majority of the time, not all the time. And if a person say, "Oh, well, what are you going to do with that?" It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that could be discouraging. And I'm not saying for anyone to tiptoe around how they speak to people, but when you're young, you should tiptoe. Now, I will say that when you're young. And I've always wrote and created characters. I might have mentioned this in another interview, but I come from a home that was there's domestic violence in my home. So the way that I coped as a 9 or 8, 9 year old girl was to sit in the corner and listen to that and just write about what's going on and create characters. That's how that's how it came about. So I've always had that fear because I was living in fear. I was birthed in fear. So I had to burrow through fear all the time, like all the time. And you got to keep going because people will make you think that, well, they don't may not intend to do it, but sometimes they make you feel like you can't do it. Or at one point, I just had high school education. I had to go back to school and educate myself and learn. Of course, I could do it so people can understand what I'm saying. I had to learn how to write again.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
That's probably one of the most important lessons for any author is you think you know how to write,
Hmm.
but then you have to learn how to write
Hmm.
because the way that you write may not be the way that you need to write that literary masterpiece.
Hmm.
And you have to sometimes sit up under someone else's teaching or tutelage or
Absolutely.
leadership and guidance to make sure that you have what it is that you need to be able to step out there sure-footed and know
Absolutely.
that I'm going to do this time, regardless of what anybody else has to say.
Hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
I was very very nervous. Um, I gave my mom a copy of the book right when it came, right after I published it,
Hmm.
and I was like, Lord,
Yeah.
how is she going to take this book?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and she surprised me because I was very open and honest and transparent, even about our relationship.
Hmm.
And I was a little nervous on how she would receive it. But when she came back to me, she was like, great job. I really enjoyed the book. and then went to
Oh,
social media and gave me the greatest endorsement. Kind of
wow.
blew my mind.
Wow,
So
that's wonderful.
so I think sometimes we step into those arenas and we begin to start feeling insecure
Mm-hmm.
when in reality that's just us. That's the internal conversations that we're having with ourselves, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily how it's been received by others. And so it is a challenge. But I want to step into another realm. You had said that when you were growing up, there was some domestic violence that went in on in the house, and so you would write and you would kind of write about what was going on, but you would create these characters. Have you
Mm-hmm.
considered writing a novel to where you utilize these characters that you came up with to be able to tell the story of domestic violence and what that looks like, or any story that would be a novel or a novella?
I have. It's in the archive.
We're gonna
I
have to pull that out of you, RJ. We're gonna have to pull that out.
have. Yeah, but there's so many ways to talk about that. It's also I've written poetry about it too. So that's pieces that I've written. I'm sorry, wrote. That those are pieces that I have wrote about that.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I know for myself, I was in an abusive marriage, and um, the majority of mine was that mental and emotional
Yeah.
abuse.
Yeah.
And like many women, we think that we can handle that. Just don't put your hands on me.
Yeah.
But what we fail to realize is that the outward bruises and scars fade, but
Yes.
that inward stuff stays with you a very long time.
Almost
And it
forever.
begins, exactly, it begins to erode who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and make you not even know the person that you are.
Mm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
being able to effectively heal from that and put those words on pages, now that's powerful.
Yeah.
Now I have to say that myself. That's powerful. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I went back and the book, Walking on Water in My Stilettos, when I was writing that book, God took me through that whole period of my
Mm-hmm.
marriage, and He literally healed me
Mm-hmm.
from everything that transpired.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was doing a study out of The Artist's Way, and I was using that book as my roadmap, because it's really based on getting your creativity back and getting rid of all of those things that will block your creativity,
Yep.
and your emotional unhealthiness blocks your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I was going through this, I began to realize that even in that I learned things about myself
Mm-hmm.
that had I never gone through that experience, I would not have ever learned this about myself in that way. Now,
Yeah.
trust me, I am not promoting domestic violence in any way.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that when you heal from that, you begin to learn things about yourself.
Yeah.
You begin to learn what attracted you to that. You
Mm.
begin to realize who you are and who you allowed yourself to become, and how you had to get the journey to discovering who you are now. Because I'm a believer that we are products of our environment, every last one of us, but we determine how that environment is going to impact or influence our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we step into a realm of healing from those things that were meant to destroy us, then that means that I'm turning that negative into a positive, and I'm using it for my good so that I can build on that and take something positive out of it and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so even in that, when people read your poems, when they read about the things that you've gone through, the positive and the not so positive things, what message are you sending? What are you telling them, or what do you want them to leave with?
I don't know if you ever seen the movie. What is the movie with Tom Hanks in it? Um, mm, the very what's that movie where he said life is a box of chocolate?
I know which one you're talking about. Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Yeah. So the message is similar to that. And except it's not what you choose. For me, like I said, I was young, so this was put in my face.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little girl. So, like you said, a product of your environment, that's what I saw. So, therefore, you pick up on those things or you choose. So, the message I would like to send with my book, reflecting back means I'm not there anymore. I just a thought. I'm not actually looking back on the past, just a thought about how far I have come
Mm-hmm.
in this message. And you can come far too. It's a journey. It's a journey. Life is a journey. It has a lot of different things that we deal with, but you can come out of it. You really can. You really can. There is life on the other side, and we don't have to literally die to see it.
Powerful. That is so powerful. I
Mhm.
love the part about you don't have to die to see it.
No, you don't.
You know, and it gives that hope that
Mhm.
I can step away, I can move away, I can run away, whatever it is going to get me away and
Mhm.
find me so that I can continue living.
You can live.
Um, even though you've gone through this. And I think a
Huh?
lot of people, men and women, that have been the victims of domestic violence need to understand that you can walk away.
Yes.
You know, you can live your life. It just
Yeah.
means that you've got some healing to go
Mhm.
through. You've got some things that you've got to shake off so that you make sure that you don't get back into that same cycle again.
That same cycle. That's the key. Getting back into that same cycle. So you have to stay focused, keep yourself around positive people, those that you have learned and met, and just good relationships, good positive relationships, people that are living. They're doing things, they're traveling, they're writing books, they're encouraging, they have a nice dinners, or things that you can live and be vibrant instead of isolating yourself and always being criticized and things like that. That's that kind of stuff. You don't want to go back into that. To me, I call that mud, stuck in the mud.
Well, I can see that. Sometimes we don't realize that we get stuck sometimes in those spaces.
Hmm.
And it's really meant for us to thrive. You
Yeah.
know, learn whatever the lesson was meant to teach you and give yourself permission not only to live but to thrive. Because that is the biggest slap in the face to the things
Hmm.
that were meant to destroy you. Is that not
Hmm.
only are you living, but you're thriving. You know, even
Yeah.
in my life, the things that were sent that were meant to destroy me, people are seeing where I am now and they're like, how are you there when I remember when? And, you know, you always have those ones that always remember when.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I allow them to say whatever they want to say, but just not in my presence
Hmm.
because you don't have that space. I will not invite you into my space with
Right.
negativity
Right.
or the remembrance, not in the point of celebrating how far I've come, but to try
Right.
to knock me down a few pegs for me to remember from whence I've come.
Hmm.
It's really not about that, but it's about stepping into that space and being authentic and then thriving
Yeah.
and living the life that you have permission to live because no
Absolutely.
one told you you couldn't. And if they did, why are you listening?
Mm. Because there's too many times that we have been told that we can't. That word can't or we can't. When I hear that, I'm gonna be honest. It's like an irritation. No matter where I'm at, if I'm in the bank and I ask for something simple that I know a bank teller or someone in the bank can do, and they say we can't do that, yes, you can. I know you can.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when I was growing up, that was a word, can't and cannot used together,
Mm,
was not allowed in our house. That was
mm,
not, my parents did not use it with us, and we were not allowed to use it with anybody else,
yeah,
because that means that I don't have the ability to do something, when in
yeah.
reality you really do. You have the
Hmm.
ability to do it, you just don't want to. And my mother would say, stop, no, it's not can't. If you don't want to do it, say you don't want to do it.
Hmm.
But don't tell people you can't do something, because that means there's an inability. There's a lack of skill or knowledge to where you are unable to complete whatever the task is that they're asking you to complete.
Yeah,
And so I think even in our writing, I know for myself, I had to get past that. I had to
yeah.
get past that mindset that, number one, nobody's going to read my book. Number
Mm,
two, I'm not going to have an audience. Number three, what do I know about writing a book?
mm.
And I went through all of that. And it's crazy thing about it, my first book, I didn't even go through that. God said, write the book. I wrote the book, I published it, and it was off about his business. It was that second book. It was almost like, okay, this thing has gotten real. But I promise you, if God would give me permission, I would go get that first book and shut it down and redo it. Because that's what I really want to do. Because I think he's having me leave it there as a memory. This is where you
Mhm.
started.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
where you are now. And even with the people that I work with, I show them this. This is what I was doing in the beginning.
Hmm.
This was book one. This is book two. And they can see the growth. And so, even in the same way that I grew into my identity as an author, everybody else has to grow into their identity as an author too. Because we don't know everything going in, especially when we don't have anybody to guide us.
Right. That's true.
So, I'm going to give you a chance. We're going to wrap things up, but I want to give you a chance to share whatever you want to share with the audience.
Okay, so first of all, audience, if you are in a kind of like a what you call a predicament where you feel like you're stuck or you writer's block, sometime this is what I was told: get up, walk away, and come back to it. When you walk away, don't stay away too long because you'll never do it. But walk away, clear the air a little bit and come back to it. You may have some more thoughts to add to either characters, your poetry, some more you might want to say. Walk away and come back to it. Um, Reach out to other writers. The feedback thing, I don't know. Maybe if you want to do it, do it. But maybe some suggestions on how, depending on what you're trying to do, and as far as publishing or self-publishing, ask. Just ask. You never know what anyone knows. My thing is, somebody knows something more than I do. It's always somebody that know more than me. And that's who we should be talking to. Somebody that knows more than you. So just reach out. If you're stuck in the writing, get up, walk away, and come back to it. And don't forget to purchase my book. I can't hear you.
So great job. I've enjoyed talking with you, and learning about you and learning about the two books that you now have out in the marketplace. So
Hmm.
everybody that is interested, that really wants to support RJ, make sure that you pick up her book. She's got one that's already on the website. The second one's going on the website tonight. But let's support our women that are out there doing the author thing.
Hmm.
Let's show them that we appreciate the information. And I know the first book I'm going to get because I'm dealing with a family member right now that's in the midst of dealing with some depression. And I
Well, that's
really
in here.
believe,
That's in here.
okay, then I'm definitely going to be getting my copy of the book.
Yeah.
And I
Thank
think
you.
that it's important that we support each other and that we
Mhm.
begin to see what that needs to look like for each of us, because it doesn't matter who's speaking, we can learn something from everyone.
Right.
So,
Right.
RJ, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing um,
Thank you for
and
having me.
reading one of your poems and even debuting the book here on our show for us. We
Thank
didn't know
you.
we was going to do a debut, but see, we can throw all of it in there. We can get all of that in the mix. So,
Hmm.
everybody, this is your girl Michelle with RJ Voice on Girls Talk Real Talk, because when girls talk, just about anything can happen. So, we look
Yes.
forward to seeing you here again next week. Bye bye.
Thank you.